Welcome. Today we'll talk about a new reported problem with Blackboard Learn, specifically the handling of audio files. Audio files are often generated as exports from video files, or in language art classes, these could be the main content of the course. Some of the common formats for audio files will be a .wav file, often created on a Windows system, or MP4 file created on a Mac system with a tool like QuickTime. So let's take a quick look at this reported problem. Basically what we have here is that the browser does not support specifically Firefox and Chrome, but also Safari, as I will demonstrate in a second. The browser does not support automatic play of the audio files because of lack of support of plugins. Now we see plugins playing a large role today, especially as Java plugin is being retired and Flash is often not fully supported on platforms. So plugins do warrant our consideration when creating courses. Let me show you first what the problem is, and then I'll show you a couple of workarounds to this problem. So when we add content into a Blackboard course, we have a couple of options for handling audio files. Now, one way to handle audio files is just to create a generic item, and then VTBE stands for the visual content editor. And within this visual content editor, we have an option to simply attach a file. And so I'll go ahead and do that. I'll go to Browse, and we'll grab an audio file. That's definitely one way to handle a media file. Another way is to click on this icon to insert embedded audio files. And so I'll go ahead now and navigate to the same WAV file, and we'll take a second to insert. All right, and finally I have, let's go ahead and insert one more file. I have here an M4A file, which is the Mac preferred format for creating audio files. So we'll go ahead and insert this one as well. Now notice that the VTBE might reject certain types of files. And so what we'll see throughout this demonstration is that some methods will reject an audio file immediately, and some methods will accept it, but yet not display it correctly. Okay, so we could have, of course, attached the other file through an attachment. So let's go ahead and do that. We'll attach it, and M4A file, let's go ahead and attach it here. All right, so now even if a specific method works in your browsers, the instructor's browser, it does not mean that it will work on student browsers, because again, plugins are installed per computer, per browser. So then on the student browser, it might work in Firefox, but it will not work in Chrome or Safari. In this case, what we see in the reported problem by Blackboard is this black box. In other browsers, it might actually report a missing plugin. We simply do not have a way to play this content. Now the worst part is that there is no additional way for a student to easily download this file and try to play it right in the computer. So when embedding files, we always want to provide a secondary link, a download link, so that if it does not play in the browser, it can be downloaded. And so that's what these attachments allow us to do. Because notice what will happen once I click on the attachment. I can go ahead and play back the file. So the attachment works as a backup. And if I go ahead and click on the M4A file,
1, 2, 3, test, test, test.
This works as well. So what we see is that sometimes if we link a file directly, the browser finds a way to handle this, or at least will allow the students to maybe right-click and say, download this file, and then the operating system through iTunes or another audio program can go ahead and execute it. Now let's take a look at another way to handle audio files in Blackboard. We'll go ahead and select the audio file option. So even though this does not say file afterwards, this is actually for attaching audio files. And so we'll go ahead and go to Browse, and we'll attempt to use the WAV file and audio option WAV file. We'll go ahead and just preview some of the options. Technically, Blackboard advertises that they can auto start the audio, which would be rather dangerous. We typically don't want to auto start audio files. It creates difficulties in labs where students look at the content. So typically you want to not auto start, and we want to avoid the loop likely. The days of background music that's looping as you look at the page, of course, are long gone. So we'll go ahead and press submit. Okay, and now we have a neatly embedded audio file which actually plays, so I'll go ahead and execute it. And it has an optional download link. So this is a rather good way to embed audio files, and of course Blackboard already knows it's an audio file, so in future upgrades of the system it might handle it a little bit better than just embedding it through the virtual editing box. Let's go ahead and look at this in a different browser. So in Firefox, we'll go ahead and do a quick refresh of this page, and we can see that in Firefox this WAV file is in fact not embedded correctly. Again, there's probably out there a Firefox plugin that I could download and go ahead and execute this in the browser. Otherwise, I can just click on Piano Wave and simply download the file to my computer and then play it in iTunes. Now, if you're thinking then that audio files will be best handled by this audio option, you are in for a surprise, because if you go back to now upload the QuickTime audio file, it actually will not allow you to do that. So life's a little bit more complex than some of the shortcuts that we might be looking for. Instead, if you choose not to embed the M4A files inside of Blackboard virtual editor, you might simply go with the file type. And the file is flexible enough so that it will accept any file. It's very much like the attachment in the virtual editor. And so here we can go ahead and insert our Mac style file. We can call this audio option for M4A file. We'll go ahead and say submit. And so at this point, we could have included more, of course, description, but at this point, as the user clicks on this link, they are then redirected to a properly executing window. And one other things that we could have done here is, upon editing of the file, we can say open in a new window. And so we'll go ahead and submit that. Notice now the behavior as I click, it automatically opens a new tab and properly plays the file. Now this file is properly played on a Macintosh system, and it is properly played in Safari. So the Apple technology here aligns. The moment I try to use Firefox, let's go ahead and execute back our file. Okay. This works well as a new window. If I was to perhaps go back and attempt to change the opening and go ahead and play it in the same window, let's do that. Okay, and Firefox, and let's close this tab. We need to do a quick refresh. And now we'll go ahead and reopen
3, test, 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 test.
All right, so some of these options are available to us. Let's go back to content area and now attempt the, let's see, we embedded, yes, we embedded the M4A file. If we were to embed as a file the WAV file, it actually would not execute well in the browser. So depending on the audio files that you are using, you might have to find one of these workarounds. One that I would recommend is simply attaching the WAV file, because this will allow the student to download the file and play it on the operating system, and you'll have the greatest chances of success every time. Of course, providing multiple ways to consume the file. So let's say that you are attaching it to the editor, but also embedding as either file or audio file. All these will increase the chances that one of these displays will work properly for majority of your students. Thank you very much.